What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets Up podcast. We haven't talked to you in a few days. I was a little bit late with the YouTube video. My boy was in Ireland, and I just honestly completely forgot. Did not remember to make the video live. You saw it come out yesterday, or 2 days ago now. Yesterday, whatever it is, we're talking rumors. Juan Soto rumors, Pete Alonso, Christian Walker, Luis Severino, whatever it is. We got a lot to talk to you guys about on this episode. And of course, we're always going to be talking about Juan Soto as much as physically possible because he's the only thing that matters right now in the entire Mets offseason. Appreciate the amazing support you guys have been showing on all the episodes, on the YouTube videos, whatever it is. Make sure you follow us on our social media. We're approaching 10K on Twitter. So if you could follow us over there, that'd be great. At MetsUp over on Twitter. Subscribe to the MetsUp Podcast YouTube channel if you want to see the video version of this. And if you are listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. James, I haven't spoke to you in a while. We've been ripping so many episodes that we've been almost talking like every single day about this team, it feels like, over the last couple weeks. But a week away from me. How are you feeling? What's going on with you?
Yeah, the break was nice. Nice to get a breath because we were like preview offseason, preview offseason, preview offseason, preview offseason. Now we're on the eve of qualifying offers being accepted and rejected. Juan Soto's taking meetings. It feels like the offseason is literally actually finally about to start. I was hanging out with our buddy Connor over the weekend. He was like, dude, every single day, seeing that little blue dot next to Mets Up, I was so excited. Every single day with a new episode. It was great. But like, yeah, happy to do that. But feels like now everything we talked about again was us being like, this is what we want, this is what we think, this is what could. We're in the dirt. We're in the mud right now. And we're getting rumors being thrown out left and right, numbers, years, a lot of unfounded bullshit, to be fair. Radio hosts getting in on the mix, bloggers getting in the mix. Like it's coming from every direction right now. So we want to do an episode here where we basically parse through as many rumors as we could possibly get to and kind of evaluate each one for what we believe its validity is.
Yeah, it's super funny, again, for us to actually be able to talk about these rumors. This is the first offseason in the 3 years of doing this podcast where we get to talk about rumors because of just the weird circumstances of where we were before and then working.
You say that every episode. You say that every episode now.
Some people miss it. Some people forget it. I'm just so happy we get to do this. This is all we wanted for years. This is when you get the numbers. And we got actual numbers, maybe, about Juan Soto. The Mets met with Soto apparently over the weekend in California. Steve Cohen, David Stearns, maybe Francisco Lindor. We have no clue whether or not he was there.
And Carlos Mendoza.
Yeah, and Carlos Mendoza. But from Carlos Baerga and Hector Gomez, who are, Carlos Baerga, former MLB player, weirdly breaks news sometimes, and sometimes is very wrong. Hector Gomez is also super hit or miss on what he knows. He's locked into the Dominican. Like, he's a guy with the Dominican players. He seems to be right more often than not. But maybe he's just regurgitating Carlos Baerga because, for lack of a better term, and this is what we're kind of learning this offseason, there are just a lot of aggregators when it comes to Twitter. And right now it seems like everybody is just trying to get out as much news as possible on Twitter. You can monetize your Twitter now. Everybody's trying to get those impressions, make some money, get your money. I'm about it. But this is what ends up happening. $660 million is the supposed number that the Mets offered to Juan Soto this weekend. The other rumors around it were that apparently the Mets came with an extremely detailed plan. Juan Soto was very impressed by what the Mets had, by how prepared they were, and how very much focused they were about what was going to happen when they get Juan Soto, what's next. I love hearing that more than I love hearing the number, because to me, as long as the Mets are the highest bidder, that's really all I can ask for. But $660 million, that is quite a bit of money.
Yeah, but important thing to remember right now is that there is no verification on whether that number is real, fake, high, low, anything. And with that report, the thing that makes me think it was the fakest is that there was no year associated with that. Yeah. That was just a number. Is that 10 years? Is that 15 years? Is that 13 years? There's nothing. No one ever came around and said years. The only person who said any years, two people actually, and neither of them know what's going on. One was Mike Francesa, who said he heard $702 million for 12 or 13 years. That's some classic Mike Francesa. And then I think either John Boy, Jim Bob, as we like to call him here, so lovely, either paraphrase from Mike Francesa or Francesa paraphrase from him, where he said he heard it was the 660 for 12 to 13 years as well, 13 to 14 years, whatever he said in that tweet, where these people are just pulling things out that think they make sense. And then content gets made, tweets get sent out, impressions get built up, and suddenly you have a day on Twitter where there's millions of impressions about fake contracts that's offered Juan Soto that we do not know if they are real. And likely, these are not real. They were talking a lot about how these first meetings, there were no money involved. Like maybe Steve Cohen wanted to drop a Godfather off him. Logically, in our Mets fan minds, like that would make some sense. That he would be like, here's the deal that gives you the most present day money of any baseball player ever, because we do know that because of how much money was deferred from Shohei Ohtani's deal last year, it kind of wound up as being more or less like a 10 for $500 million deal, more like a 10 for $460 million with all deferred money. That would come out to a similar AAV as all those random fake contracts just had for Soto, and he would get more of it up front. We also don't know if you get more of it up front. Maybe some of this money would be deferred. It would make a lot of sense for some of this money would be deferred. We didn't know Shohei's money was going to be deferred until like 20 minutes after the contract was reportedly signed last year. So again, the big crux of what's going on this time of year, we do not know. But like you said, I love the fact that the Mets are coming with a plan. And there's been some other reports the last couple of days. I know Ernest Dove said this, and I think Tim Britton was talking about it too, that as all this stuff goes on for the Mets, a lot of the money they keep seeing is being reinvested in the minor league program. They're building more housing near Port St. Lucie. The pitching lab is bustling right now. They're putting more money into players' nutrition, their food stipends. Those are things you could tell a player like Juan Soto, and he'll, I think, understand how important that is for the future and why he'd want to join an organization that's doing things like this.
Well, there was a report, and I don't remember who it came out by. Again, it was like Friday night, and I was at a wedding. But it was saying that Juan Soto apparently not only cares about, like, you know, getting his money, making sure he's on a winning team. He wants to know, how are you going to build a sustainable winner as well? Because if you're signing a contract with a team for 15 years, you don't want to end up having the Chris Bryant situation where you're like, oh my God,
these guys suck.
The Rockies gave me all this money, but I'm never going to be on a winning team again. Like, this franchise is in a hole for the entire time that I'm here. I will never play winning baseball again in my life. Juan Soto wants to make sure that you, like you said, you are going to spend that money on the minor league system. You're going to be able to go out and sign other players. Who else is going to be joining me here? Because I know that just me does not make this team better than the Los Angeles Dodgers, does not make us World Series champions. You got to go out and get a full MLB roster and make that team good. And I think the fact that, one, David Stearns is one of the smartest executives in all of Major League Baseball. Steve Cohen's got the deepest pockets in all of Major League Baseball. Carlos Mendoza seems to be one of the just more well-rounded managers in Major League Baseball. That's got to be something that's reassuring to a guy like Juan Soto as well, who's been in a bunch of different organizations casually, all built very differently. The Yankees are built very differently than the Padres. The Padres were built very differently than the Nationals. He's been able to kind of see all the different teams and how they've built. I think this is like it's even more unique than we are making this Juan Soto free agency to be, because he's almost using it as he's part of the front office too, in a way.
Another thing that makes it unique is that it's rare that any players on their first contract get to play for that many different teams.
Yes.
Let alone players who are this good and this valuable on the open market. So the fact that he did get to have three very honest looks in three different organizations, like you just said, run their team very differently. This whole situation is incredibly unique, and we keep saying how unique he is a free agent, how unique he is a free agent. Like this is like Alex Rodriguez free agency on steroids, yes. But probably less about A-Rod, where he wanted to see who would just treat him the best simply as a human, who would give him the most things rather than who could build the best winner. And the A-Rod one's also a weird comparison because he got fucking traded 2 years after that to the Yankees. But there was also the report that came out late last week from Joseph Reboyras. I don't know how to say the last name. Reboyras.
Raboyes? I don't know.
Raboyes? Joseph Raboyes, that basically said that it was a translated post of Carlos Beltran said the team will do whatever it takes to sign Juan Soto. And then that got blasted again by all the new Mets aggregators, RIP Jenny Mets. I don't know if that quote was real. This is nothing about Joseph Raboyes following or his job as reporter. He has 800 followers. I don't know. There's never been breaking news that he's done before. So for Carlos Beltran, a member of the Mets organization, to say things like this out loud, that seems like just kind of ridiculous to me that they would show their hand that much. It's not that they're showing their hand, because I think everybody knows that the Mets are going to do everything in their power to sign Juan Soto. But again, this is just this time of year, you have to be so careful, especially in this new world of where the Mets are, where we're going to be. We are the bad guys right now. We're linked to everybody. We have the most money. We have the most space in front of our luxury tax, like we said in the last episode to you guys. We should be linked to everybody. We should be in on everybody. There should be plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. Like, we should have everything lined up and ready to go. So be super duper careful of what you're seeing on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. I think it's just everything with a grain of salt. Again, we love Tim Britton. We love Will Salmon. Those are our guys. We love Healy as well. Yeah, Tacoma. Like, those guys are all very reliable sources. And then you have Ken Rosenthal, Jeff Passan, like the big names. Bob Nightingale's a legend. He's tweeted it. He's been played a fool so many times. I mean, Trevor Bauer played him like the biggest fool ever when he tweeted out that he signed with the New York Mets and then an hour later was Los Angeles Dodger. I mean, thank God that happened. But we know that there's definitely an inner circle of trust and guys that will give you legitimate news. When they tweet something, that it's true. That is the news. That is fact. There is no speculation. Right now, everything we're seeing is speculation. And what I kind of like about this too is I love that there's so much speculation about the Mets, because I think that means we're a little more tight-lipped than we normally have been in the past. And that's something we've noticed with the Cohen organization too, is that the leaks, the rumors and everything, not really coming out as much as they were in the past.
Yeah, I think a sign of a healthy front office because, again, all of these rumors that are coming out are not exactly people that usually have their finger on any Mets pulse.
No.
We have Carlos Baerga, we have Hector Gomez, we have Michael Kay, who said that the Mets are expected to beat any offer that comes out by $50 million. Where does that number come from?
I love like the idea of Michael Kay. I know he used to be a reporter. Like before he became the Yankees guy, he was a reporter. So I'm sure in the 90s he had connections and stuff like that. But like it definitely feels like one of those things where in conversation with someone, they were like, yeah, Mets are going to probably spend $50 million more. It's like, that's a fact. I'm going to say
exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's probably, again, this like little circle is going around between Jim Bob Francesa and Michael Kay, where they're all kind of regurgitating each other's rumors and then saying they heard it from somewhere, they heard it from somewhere, they heard it from somewhere. Now we have a triangle of nonsense, a triangle of bullshit right there, and we don't know what's true. Then you do have the article from John Heyman saying that the Mets meeting with Juan Soto went very well, which is like that. When Heyman says something that vague, I do believe him.
And we also know he's the Boris puppet. He's got the strings attached
for sure.
Hard. Like he is the Boris puppet.
And if it would make the most sense ever for all this news come out about how well the Mets did in their meeting the day before he meets with the Yankees, right? Like, wouldn't that make a lot of sense to all of you guys? Isn't that the best thing to possibly get the most money is scare the Yankees as fucking much as possible before they meet with him? Like, it all makes sense when you step back, but we're so deep in it right now. We want Juan Soto on this team so fucking bad that it's hard to separate like the real from the bullshit.
Yeah, it's super hard, and I can't blame anybody who has a difficulty separating it because the world that we live in is just regurgitate diarrhea, put it on Twitter, and hope that it gets impressions. That's really how it works. That's what we do on this channel too. We do plenty of that. I mean,
100%.
if you read our titles, they've been so dramatic the last like 3 or 4 episodes. Got to get those clicks, got to get those views, got to make that money. Speaking of making money, we got a sponsor right now. Shout out Mint Mobile.
I love a great deal, but I'm not going to run sprints in the outfield just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy. No hoops, no BS. With Mint Mobile, it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan. Purchase and activation is super easy too.
To get started, go to mintmobile.com/territory. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number.
To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/territory.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on their first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
All right, so we know Juan Soto. We want him badly. I still can't believe that the conversation, there's people out there who are like, spend the money on 2 superstars. One, who are the 2 superstars available right now to spend that money on? I would like to know who the 2 players are on the market. What?
Pete Alonso, Corbin Burns. That's
yeah. I'm sure those guys are equal value to Juan Soto in terms of players.
I mean, a really good comparison for something like this is like 10 years ago now when the Yankees lost out Robinson Cano when he went to Seattle before he famously came to the Mets. And the Yankees were like, you know what? We missed out Robinson Cano. The price tag got too big for us. We're going to spread the money around. We're going to get a dynamic center fielder, like a stud catcher, and then I think they got a pitcher with that, but I can't remember. But I know the other 2. Oh, no, they got 2 outfielders and a catcher. That's what they did. Do you remember who it was?
Jacoby Ellsbury?
Yes.
Brian McCann?
Yeah.
Oh, who's the other outfielder that the Yankees would spend money on? Was it Aaron Hicks?
No, I'll give you a hint. I already said his name on this podcast.
I already said his name on the podcast. Who was it? I don't know. I'm blanking right now.
Carlos Beltran.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Carlos Beltran was a Yankee.
Yeah, so they paid those guys and it came out to like, I think even a little bit more than Robinson Cano's AAV. And I think everyone would have probably rather just signed the one guy instead of spread the money around to 3 busts.
Yeah, because, and again, none of those guys. Juan Soto's like, I don't know, so much better than Robinson Cano even was. So,
and I think there's also just a lot of concern that people are scared that what Soto's going to get annually is going to like totally like block in the Mets roster. Where again, we talked about last episode, the Mets have an unprecedented amount of money they're willing to spend this offseason, considering how far they are below the competitive balance tax lines right now and how willing Steve Cohen's always been to go well above every single tax threshold. We're the only team that I think the Dodgers probably and the Yankees too, but I think only us and the Dodgers 3 years in a row gone over all 3 levels. And then you compare it to the Shohei Ohtani contract, where against the luxury tax, he's accounting for $46 million, which is like exactly where this Juan Soto deal is going to end up in range. Like I said, everyone's mind's getting a little bit flexed by all of these reports that like a 10-year, $600 million contract.
It's not happening.
There's no fucking way that's true. That's just not true. Doesn't make sense for Juan Soto to sign a 10-year contract. Why would the 26-year-old want a 10-year contract? He should want a 5-year contract or a 15-year contract.
Yeah.
10 does nothing for him. So he can be a free agent at 36 years old. That's the worst time to be a free agent. He'll do everything in his power not to make that contract happen. That's, again, sidebar. We got to do it like once a month. That's why the Francisco Lindor contract's so fucking good. It's over when he's 37 years old. No other contract in baseball like that. Oh, man, so fucking great. I can't. We do this too much now. You guys are probably going to get annoyed, but I can't see any reason why you don't give Juan Soto as much money as he could possibly desire.
Yeah, give him all the money. Give him a blank check. And I really do think they will. All right, some other rumors to talk about here from other players and other reporters. I mentioned our boy Bobby Nightingale earlier. He put out a tweet, I think on the weekend or just before the weekend started, that the Mets will aggressively pursue Christian Walker. Martini Sports Management are his agent. I don't know really who else they have on their client list, because when you go to their website, their main guy that they're showing off on there is Derek Holland, who I don't think's been in Major League Baseball for a couple of years. So that's interesting. I like Christian Walker. I prefer Pete Alonso, I think, over a longer period of time. Christian Walker is very much a short-term plan at first base. I don't see him signing more than a 3-year contract at most, because I think he's 34, 35 years old. He's a good player. I think he's very comparable to what Pete Alonso is going to give you the last couple of years. Like they've been neck and neck in terms of production. He would just be a shorter term fix and probably end up still being around the same AAV as Pete for those years that he signed.
Yeah, it is a little different though. And again, all this will trickle down just based on what happens with Juan Soto. But Pete is simply going to give you more home runs.
Yes.
And a little bit worse defense. But the first base defense thing, we're always like, I simply don't give a fuck. And Pete is a good scooper. So I'll give him that for the first base defense. Elite scoops. But I just see I could see the Mets wanting to be a little bit more flexible with their cost at a position that they don't think is the most important if they have just committed $48 million a year to one player for the next 15 years. Like I could see them being like, let's make sure we don't put on too many long commitments on top of this. I also, again, just can't really see why they would be, again, like, quote, aggressive about these things, which is why this time of year, just you have to kind of ignore every single thing you hear.
Yeah, there's no reason to be aggressive on anybody right now besides Juan Soto and I guess Corbin Burns. I think those would be the two guys right now that if there was ever a rush to be like, I want to get him done right now, is because they're going to be an amount of money where you want to get that settled instantly. And they're a caliber of player where you want to get that settled instantly. Christian Walker's a guy who could still be a free agent in January, I think. I think that's a super possibility.
He could be a free agent in March.
Yeah, like, and it's nothing against how he is as a player. He's a very good baseball player. It's just, it's him and Pete Alonso. That's it at first base. And even then,
Goldschmidt and Carlos Santana, different levels, but yeah.
Like the price difference doesn't make you need to rush to sign Christian Walker when the production can also be comparable for those guys at some point.
For sure. Another guy who I think could be a free agent for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
The other rumors that are going out. Bob Nightingale's also connected the Mets to Alex Bregman. Said the Mets are seriously considering Alex Bregman and to move Mark Vientos to first base. Again, we do not know where these rumors are coming from. We have no idea. There's no indication from the Mets that they ever want to change Mark Vientos' position. It's just people saying these things and people connected. And then the report comes out on Monday that Alex Bregman is seeking a deal that's comparable to Manny Machado's contract, which was 11 for $350 million, 11 for $330 million, correct?
Yeah, it's crazy what they're connecting him to. And this comes from a Ken Rosenthal article as well. So there's
So it's definitely real.
Yeah, and it's Scott Boras is saying he wants close to an 11-year, $350 million deal, which, I mean, there's just no way on God's green earth that Alex Bregman gets that kind of money. He will be a free agent till the end of time if that's what he wants. No one will sign him.
That's another thing. This time of year is really just to get more money for your clients. All of these rumors can all be traced back to an agent that wants to get every single dollar out of the baseball team they're trying to negotiate with for the player that they want to be on their team. Every single one. This is nonsense. I think Alex Bregman and Scott Boras know that there's no way that he's going to get Manny Machado's contract. He's worse in every facet of the game, and he has been basically his entire career.
Except the 1 year where they cheated.
Yeah, I guess, but there's nothing that Bregman does in a baseball field is better than Machado. It's not saying Bregman's not a great player. Bregman's a fantastic player, but for him to, and also Machado was 27 when he signed that deal. Bregman's already 30.
Machado's contract was actually cheaper the first time he signed around. I think it was 10 for $300, and then this last February he had the opt out, the renegotiation thing or whatever, and became 11 for $350. But that was to sign him till the end of time. Like he no longer has to worry about a contract anymore. Where the first one I think made him similarly a free agent at like 38. I think this one bought out those years till he's 40.
And that's also an interesting thing because who signed that contract? The San Diego Padres, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so if you look at right now, all the contracts in baseball have guys signed until they're past 40 years old.
It's all the
I'm pulling it up
Padres.
Right now. It's 3 Padres. It's 2 Padres. Xander Bogaerts and it's Manny Machado, and then you have Trey Turner. Those are the contracts that have guys signed until they're 40. That's it.
Oh, I thought you had more. I thought you were going to give me more there.
That's all I was going to give you. What else do you want?
I don't know. All right, next rumor. Nolan Arenado apparently could be a fit for the Mets from John Heyman. I mean, I love the wording here. This player could be a fit. Would he watch our video and then he just regurgitated? He was like, you know what makes sense? If the Mets need a third baseman, they could trade for Nolan Arenado. I mean, thanks, John. Good reporting there, bud.
My dad told me that too. He was like, is he watching your guys' videos? I was like, I don't think so. But I mean, I think it's just, again, it makes sense that Nolan Arenado is a fit for the Mets. Like, we got there by logic. John Heyman also probably got there by logic, probably got there a week later because he had other, articles to write and things to do. But that's just kind of, I guess he is a fit again. And people have been, I think, weirdly coming around on the fit recently.
I don't know about that.
You don't think so? You think it's the opposite?
I think people are very against it. And again, my mind's really only been on Juan Soto, so I haven't even considered it like actually outside of the time we did the video. But where are you seeing people coming around to it?
I don't know. I think actually Mookie Betts, also going back to look at some more contracts, is signed to 40 years old. So a fourth guy. But still,
that one feels like it's going to age like wine, though. Like, he's just such a little freak.
two of the 4 guys signed to 40. Even Bryce Harper's going to be out of there right when he turns 40. I don't think he actually got to play his age 40 season with the contract. It's just that doesn't happen. The Padres happen to be dumb enough to do these a lot because they don't have as much literally money up front, so they have to give money on the back end. And they literally said, we don't care. We will figure that out when that happens. It's a damn shame. Their owner passed away. So this was all totally a problem for everybody else, not the people who are actually signing these contracts. The Celtics are doing that too. The Celtics in basketball just signed so many contracts, go so deep in the NBA luxury tax for 5, 6, 7 years for the whole core. Then they put the team for sale. It's like, what are you doing? Like, it's just, I think a lot of people get fixated on these numbers, and that's all it is. Every single time this time of year, the owner's doing that. But again, Nolan Arenado for the Mets, it makes tons of sense, but not, I don't know. It's just, you don't really want to think about that now because we have so many bigger fish to fry.
No, yeah. Like,
that's the problem more so.
Yes, that is more so the problem, without a doubt. The real thing, which we will talk about after a quick ad right here, is going to be talking about Luis Severino and Sean Manaea, because we got some qualifying offer updates. But first, an ad. So we know that Sean Manaea is going to decline the qualifying offer. I think it's technically officially happened already, even though the deadline hasn't passed. But I mean, we all knew as Mets fans, he was not going to take a 1-year deal. He deserves multi-years. He's going to get paid. Pete Alonso as well. Severino's the interesting one, because both me and you thought that when the Mets gave him the qualifying offer, there was almost no chance he wasn't going to take it. Right now, it's expected that he is going to decline the qualifying offer per Will Salmon, which is interesting because Severino's market, like, he's going to get paid. Like, I'm not denying that he can make close to $20 million a year, but I don't know, like, what happens to his contract as the years get added on, because I'm sure the reason being is he doesn't want to sign another 1-year deal.
True, and I think that, again, from Luis Severino, it seems like a valid concern. I'm sure that he has had many problems with injuries his career. Not saying that he doesn't think he can stay healthy for another one, but the fact he did just stay healthy for a whole one, he was like, I'd really like to get paid multiple years now and secure more money than I ever have in my career. But then when you look at other pitchers' contracts in the league and you start to look at years and the talent of these pitchers and where they were when they signed these deals. Robbie Ray, when he signed his deal, was coming off a Cy Young season. He was considered like one of the highest free agents in the league. He got a $23 million annual deal. Kevin Gausman, similar, $22 million. Luis Castillo, similar, $21.5 million. Chris Bassett, 2 years ago, better than Severino, more reliable for more years than Severino, $21 million. That's the level that the 1-year deal would have been. Joe Musgrove, also probably considered better than Luis Severino, where he is now. 5 years for $100 million, $20 million a year. I think where Severino probably settles in. I think there's also a situation where he's probably fine with it because he's going to guarantee himself simply just more money than 1 year for $21 million. Something like what Stroman got last year, 2 for $37. Something like what, I'm trying to think, like Jameson Taillon got last year, 4 for $68. Where you're signing a guy for a lot of years at below the market value, technically like below the market value, but you're giving him years and years. Like, to me, Severino seems like someone who could really lock himself into like 3 for 52. Like, that feels like a good.
And it might be more important for him right now to get a larger total amount of money, because he's like, hey, $21 million next year is good, but if I stink, that's all I got is $21 million. Or if I get hurt, that's all I got. Where I'd rather take less per year, but be able to get a bigger lump.
It's guaranteed. Once you put your name there, it's guaranteed. Like John Gray a couple years ago, 4 for 56. Like, that seems like the low end of what a guy like Luis Severino couldn't show that score. Even 2 years ago, Zach Eflin got 3 for 40. Yeah. Which is these offers all, like, now when you look at what these pitchers have done on these contracts, they all seem incredibly, incredibly cheap. So maybe Severino could do that too. Also last year, Seth Lugo, 3 for 45. $15 million a year. And I also think that part of me, the deadline's going to happen on Tuesday at 4 o'clock. So some of you guys are probably listening to this before that deadline. Some of you guys might be listening to this after that deadline. So this comment could be stupid. I think a little part of it might be some posturing from Severino and just trying to get that last 2-year, 3-year deal offer from the Mets. I don't know if that means if he doesn't get that from the Mets, sign it, 'cause I think he loves being in New York. I think he really likes being on this team too. We just saw a whole week of Luis Severino, Jose Quintana, and Starling Marte on vacation together in Japan, which is, I don't know many other baseball teams that vacation to Asia together. So that was pretty cool to see. But it seems like, because the timing of when that rumor came out, 4 days before the deadline, someone who also was like, I love being in New York. That was part of the report that Will Salmon put out there. That's one last nudge to the Mets. Be like, meet me somewhere in the middle here, and we'd love to get this done. There could also be a world where the Mets don't want to do that for all the same reasons we said before. Knowing Luis Severino's injury history, knowing that last year most of his talent came from mitigating hard contact rather than becoming the power strikeout pitcher that used to be in the past. Everything Severino did last year wasn't exactly sticky or repeatable or trustworthy more than what you would hope for a 3-starter, which is, again, back in the range of where I think I'm pegging him for some of these deals.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that makes it feel like maybe some posturing too for Severino is having that qualifying offer declined by him and then becoming a free agent makes him a lot less attractive to a bunch of teams.
Significantly less. Nick Martinez, who I think is a little bit lower than Severino, but also if you put a gun to my head, said Luis Severino, Nick Martinez, that would be a tight. Yeah, I think we would have to actually really think about it. He took the offer, and he's now going to have the highest single season AAV in the Cincinnati Reds history.
Wow, that's
on
crazy.
a 1-year deal is basically a number 3 starter, which is really funny. But if you decline that offer, you're like a leper to the other teams. Teams have to give up, I think, depending on the team, their second highest draft pick to sign you, and the Mets get the compensation pick back for them. I don't know who's giving Luis Severino a 3-year deal where they're willing to give up pick to get a guy who's a 3-starter. So this could just wind up where Severino overplays his hand and still just comes back to the Mets on a cheap deal.
Yeah.
Which maybe he's fine with that, so maybe he's just willing to take that shot. Maybe he's willing to take a 2 for 35 from the Mets, worst case scenario. Because that's still not that far away from the 1-year AAV of the qualifying offer. He still gets to stay in New York. Seems like he does not want to leave New York. Again, gotta keep saying that.
Yeah.
But it's everything this time of year is such this little cat and mouse game, back and forth, back and forth. It is interesting, though, that didn't seem to be any movement on any extension talks to either Manaea or Alonso, though.
No, and I'll tell you what, I think part of the reason is they're just really focused on Juan Soto.
Yeah, and they should be. I think also weirdly part of the focus on Juan Soto is trickling down to some of the smaller moves they've been making. We talked a week and a half ago about the Mets signing Dylan Covey. I thought it was interesting that they signed him to a major league contract. On Monday, they also signed career minor league reliever Justin Hageman also to a major league contract. Those are the kind of moves you make early in the offseason where you see something interesting about these guys and you try to jump the market by signing. These guys are likely expecting minor league offers, and you're giving them major league offers. So they are guaranteed beat any minor league offer, but you're only giving them a smidge over the league minimum. I think Hageman, you said before, is making $850,000 next year.
885 or something. I think league minimums are right around 500,000 to 600,000.
I think league minimum now is 760, 780 really? With the new CBA, because I think it went up a couple of years in a row with the new stuff, just like luxury tax. But I think that's a deal where it's he probably got 20 minor league offers with an invite to spring training. And here's a major league offer. Just take one of these spots. So now Hageman and Dylan Covey are in the Mets major league bullpen. I know Covey does not have an option. I don't know about Hageman, but Hageman probably does because he hasn't been to the majors yet. That seems like the precursor for a team who's making moves to make sure that they can fill in the back end of their roster when they get really, really, really close to certain competitive tax balance thresholds.
To spending all the money that's physically possible. Yeah.
Spending the money in bulk in the right places. And now, now we're filling in the cracks. It seems to me just like some pre-crack filling with guys for... yeah, that was kind of funny the way it came out of my mouth. Yeah, I was under anesthesia today, so I was still a little loopy. But that to me is just here's a guy under $1 million who we think can give us $3 million in value. And if he's not, then that's it. He's gone.
Yeah, it's really doesn't hurt because it's nothing at that point. In terms of other rumors around baseball, I know a lot of Mets fans, us included, are interested to see what's going on with Corbin Burns. There hasn't been a ton going on with him, but right now Orioles and Dodgers are being linked to him the most. Which
this is also funny. Hold on, Hageman went to Penn State.
Really?
And he does have 3 minor league options. So he has 3 options, but Dylan Covey has none.
Okay, so
that's going to be interesting though. So Covey's on the Mets this year, so we'll see what that happens. But yeah,
until he's
Penn
cut.
State. Yeah, Penn State, 28-year-old career minor leaguer. Got a major league deal.
All right, Justin Hageman. But yeah, Corbin Burns, Orioles, Dodgers, top suitors right now. I also know there was some Crochet rumors coming out, different reports. Jim Bowden, whatever you say, and other people are saying that the Red Sox and the Blue Jays and the Twins or whatever. But then maybe sometimes the Mets are interested, or everything's so conflicting with each other. This is what happens during the offseason. I think if you don't hear the Mets name connected to a player, that's not necessarily a worry either.
No, I think it's almost kind of a bit of a good thing. Like, I think there's a really good chance the Mets are also doing the due diligence on every single one of these guys because every single good team should. But I thought it was very interesting that was that Passan who did it was Morosi, it was John Morosi. He said that the Orioles and the Dodgers are the top suitors for Corbin Burnes. I guess that's true. I don't understand how they could be the only ones though. Like it seems to be like everyone would be willing to offer him a contract.
Yeah, I mean, like if you think about the teams in Major League Baseball, and I think they mentioned this on Foul Territory the other day when I was watching them talk about their free agent predictions. Like Corbin Burnes would be a great Cub. Like he'd be great in that ballpark.
Fantastic.
He'd be an awesome Boston Red Sox as well. I know that's something that you've brought up. Like he'd be great out in Boston. He'd be great in Baltimore. He'd be great in Toronto. He'd be great in San Francisco. Like there are so many teams where he makes sense. And I know maybe on this podcast we've been a little bit less, forward about how much money he truly deserves and whether or not he is a real $35 million pitcher or not going forward. Yeah. But I think for a lot of these teams, he is still he's still an ace. Like there's no doubt he is still a frontline starter. Our debate had always just been, is he Garrett Cole money? And he might not be there maybe, but he's still really, really good. So like the only teams that are interested in being the Dodgers and Orioles, that also doesn't feel right.
No, the only detraction we have about Corbin Burnes is something that would be like the greatest compliment paid to any other pitcher in the league. I just don't think he's one of the 5 best starting pitchers in baseball.
Yeah, he's still one of the 10.
Yeah, he settles around like between 8 and 12, like very comfortably. Like he has 5 pitches he can use in any count, any moment, any situation, any time, any day, any second.
A lot of this has to deal with the fact that like he's going to get an 8-9 year contract. Like if we're having these questions right now, I'm sure like when he's 36, he's still not going to be an ace. Like that's part of it too, I think.
Yeah, totally. I also think that it is interesting that the Dodgers are connected to him because I think the Dodgers are the sleeping giant with Juan Soto that for some reason I can't shake being a tiny bit scared of.
Well, I can tell you why.
Why?
Because they do it every offseason. Every offseason for the last 5, they've been like, you, and we're amazing again. Like, they signed Teoscar Hernandez a couple days after Ohtani last year. Like, how did you do that? You just spent $700 million.
Again, we talked about this in our first offseason episode where that's like the mark of a good franchise where they don't let generational players get away from them because they know how rare that they become available. Like they were like, we'll trade whatever for Mookie Betts, sign him tomorrow. Shohei Ohtani, literally design the contract yourself, anything you want. Like Freddie Freeman, you want a 5-year deal, 34? Sure, why not? You are Freddie Freeman. Like you're one of the best players this generation. Like Yoshinobu Yamamoto, never thrown a pitch in Major League Baseball. We're going to put $350 million in your lap. And if you look at the Dodgers right now for next year's team, they're at like $228 million, which is like 70.
Shockingly a lot of money that they could spend.
Shockingly a lot, but also this team right now, they're starting rotation for next year. Yamamoto, sure. Ohtani's not going to pitch till midseason. Glasnow, we have no idea. So after Yamamoto, their only starters who are going to be healthy on opening day are Gonsolin, Bobby Miller, Dustin May, and then like the guys who ended this year, Landon Knack and Kasparius. Like they really do need to fill it in. Like that to me was why like I feel a little bit of solace with them with the Corbin Burnes rumors. I'm like, please go after Corbin Burnes.
Yes,
just take Corbin Burnes off the board. Spend your $40 million on Corbin Burnes,
and you're out of Soto.
leave Soto for the East Coast. Leave him for the Mets and Yankees to fight over. We'll figure out the rest later because you guys just need pitching. But like you guys need a lot more pitching. Don't worry about the fact that James Outman and Andy Pages right now are like going to be in your Major League outfield. Don't worry about that. Not a big deal. You don't have a shortstop. Who cares? Don't worry about that. Just don't even look at Juan Soto. Yeah, Mickey Rowe. They similar, but again, it's similar to the Mets where like their roster is. I mean, not similar to the Mets because their roster is sick as fuck, but it's largely incomplete, and they have so much less money to work with than the Mets. I don't know how willing they'd be even to get a Burnes or anything like them. To me, I don't know. They seem to be much more willing to to shop in the bargain bin of pitchers and get like 3 guys to add more depth. But they also have so many guys in minor leagues. So maybe they're not going to do that. I don't know.
And also, maybe they don't care either. Maybe it's just like Steve Cohen doesn't seem to care. They might just be like, we just won the World Series. We just made a fuck ton of money from that. Let's do it again. Yeah. And also, by the way, we have the most popular baseball player ever in the world, Shohei Ohtani. We print money. It's impossible for us to lose.
You had to. How am I going to phrase this?
Yeah, how are you going to phrase it? What are you asking me here?
So you have a pie chart right now, and the pie chart's out of 100. What percentage do you give any team to sign Juan Soto?
What, any team?
I'm saying like Juan Soto likelihood of signing is the chart. That's equal 100. How many teams have how many slices? You did a TikTok about this today.
Yeah, I think there's probably 9 teams that can realistically sign him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Mets are by far the biggest. I think the Mets are I'd put the Mets at 40% of that. I'd put the Yankees at 35, and that leaves it 25% for like the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, The Giants.
My big question is, what credence do you give those other teams actually in this race? Because I think the Red Sox are sneaky, but I don't know if the Red Sox have the sack, honestly.
I think all of them are 5% or less.
And it's just Mets and Yankees.
I think it's just Mets and Yankees, truthfully. I think all that this is doing is, if anything, it's just making Juan Soto more money. That's it.
Yeah, which is probably true. And again, he deserves it.
Like I don't think there is a world where the Giants are the top bidder. But I think that's a team that is going to offer a lot of money. Like, what is in a large contract? I just don't think it's going to be more than what the Mets or Yankees are going to offer. I think the Blue Jays are going to offer a ton of money to Juan Soto. It's not going to be more. Like, they're just not going to be able to beat the Mets or the Yankees. And I think, truthfully, if it does come down to a bidding war, it is Mets, Yankees, and Dodgers. I think the Dodgers would have no problem spending $50 million on Juan Soto if they want to operate at an insanely high cost for the next 10 years, which they might. Who knows?
Yeah, they might. They might not care. But also, again, they can do it. I just want to say that to scare everybody, but also be realistic. They can do it and then just take a lot of shortcuts with the rest of their roster. Yes. And then they'll have like the top of a super team, and then just hope all the minor leaguers start to take some steps.
They'd be the Miami Heat, where it was like LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and then you look at center and you're like, oh, Jamal McGlure and Juwan Howard are getting minutes on this team. Those guys are 40. Like their
Birdman Anderson, Norris Cole.
Their point guard was a second-round pick as a rookie. He was a starter.
Norris Cole's putting up, I think it's like 30 and 10 in Puerto Rico right now.
Dude, I saw a video about that.
I was like, damn, Norris Cole, hell yeah.
Macklemore, I think, is in China or Turkey or something like that, putting up like 24 points a game. I was like, I love seeing that. I gotta steal that for baseball.
Something like that. Do we have any more little rumors to run through? I think that we got through the whole list.
Yeah, we got through the whole list. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else Mets related that I really wanted to talk about. I think not. One cool thing I saw in baseball, though, that just briefly I want to bring up, the Orioles are moving in left field. You saw that?
Yeah, it's funny.
Which is funny because everybody in baseball, including, I'm sure, all the Orioles hitters, are like, oh, my God, thank God. I know there was Trey Mancini.
Ryan Mountcastle dropped to his knees.
Yeah, which that kills my Ryan Mountcastle trade talks. Kills him.
Yeah.
If they're moving fences in, that's for the righties that are going to be on this team.
Is specifically for Kobe Mayo.
Also, when you hear this Rookie of the Year's announced, Paul Skeens won the National League, Luis Gil in the American League. The American League was actually way closer than I thought it was going to be. I thought he was going to win it easier than he did. A lot of Colton Cowser's first place votes, which was warranted. I think it was more of a coin flip, but I felt like the betting odds were very much in Luis Gil's favor across the books.
I think the shape of Gil's year made that an opportunity for Cowser because Cowser played pretty well at the end. He actually had a really cold second half too. But the fact that Gil was like the best pitcher in baseball for 2 months and then was just like, I don't know. I give Luis Gil a lot of credit. Luis Gil only threw 30 combined innings between 2021 and 2024 after he got Tommy John surgery. When Garrett Cole went down, people were shitting themselves with the Yankees rotation, and he was their ace for like the first solid 2 months of the year. When the Yankees were the best team in baseball, he was dog this year. The fact that he got through that, got to 150 innings after everything he's been through, like that's a sick move. I'm happy for him. And also, if you think that Jackson Merrill should have been the Rookie of the Year for Paul Skeens, I'm sorry to admit you're a mouth breather.
Yeah, no, that's a tough take to have. It's like
Paul Skeens is rookie season ever.
Paul Skeens is like the third best pitcher in Major League Baseball, probably going into next year.
If he's not, I mean, I would say second.
It's probably Tarek Skubal is one.
Skubal, Wheeler, Skeens.
Yeah.
And you could put those guys in any order. I wouldn't really fight you.
I honestly, Paul Skeens is probably going to be number one on my list to get some comments. But
the way early fantasy baseball drafts are trending right now, it's Skeens and Skubal hard over the rest, and then a tier break, and then Wheeler DeGrom.
Yeah, I mean Wheeler, we also know is just massively disrespected in baseball.
Always, every single year, always is. He's another year. He's not going to win the Cy Young, where you could have squinted and given it to him.
Lastly, did you see Mark Vientos?
Yeah, Swaggy V at the Knicks game.
Yeah, Swaggy V at the Knicks game, and he dyed his hair blonde. He went icy.
It's been bleached for a few weeks. It's awesome. It's kind of cool that we have this like burgeoning superstar like actually in our lives now. The Mets haven't had a breakout like this. I feel like since kind of Pete.
Yeah,
and it was a little different because Pete's not like super chill and cool.
He's goofy.
Like there was a tweet going around Yankees Twitter on Monday that was like, you think Anthony Volpe can ever have a Mark Vientos type breakout season? And I was just like, let's fucking go. That's so awesome.
Oh, did I ever say this on the podcast? But just talking more about Juan Soto because I love him and I want him to be a Met so badly. And when he does, gonna be intolerable. Mark Vientos turns 25 in under 3 weeks, December 11th. Juan Soto, he turns 25. Okay. Mark Vientos in like 3 weeks. Juan Soto turned 26 in October. They're separated by about a year. And people, how crazy is that?
Yeah,
that's how sick Juan Soto is. Mark Vientos is considered this amazing breakout young player that the Mets just had. Juan Soto is like, yeah, I'm a free agent and I have 200 home runs in my career.
This keeps being, I keep saying over again, the crazy thing about Soto, like A-Rod is the only other free agent this age ever.
Yeah.
Like that's actually a good free agent. Like, because guys just don't come up when they're 18. And usually if they do, their team sign like to 10-year deals like Jackson Chourio.
Yeah.
Like this is an incredibly rare thing, and it has to be taken incredibly seriously for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, Harper, I guess, is also the other guy, too, that was close to it, right? Because Harper became a free agent at 20.
I think him and Machado were both either 27 or 28.
Yeah, no, Harper was 26. That was his 26-year-old season. He became a free agent. So, yeah.
Oh, but this was Soto's 25-year-old season. Now he's 26.
Yes.
Next year's 26-year-old season.
No,
1 year.
2019 was Bryce Harper's 26-year-old season, too.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah. No,
That was his first year. It's 1 year different.
No, it's the same.
Oh, are you sure?
Yes, because I'm looking at it on Baseball Reference, and Harper, 2019 Phillies, that's the first year. Baseball Reference is age 26.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So it's
Fine,
the same.
fuck it.
But it's crazy. Juan Soto's he's a freak. He's so good.
Yeah, just anything you can to sign him. Also, guys, to get us some more reviews, we're going to start reading reviews at the end of the episode. It was a fun month. We're going to keep doing those short, like YouTube stuff episodes, but want to do one a little more podcasty. Send us reviews. We'll read them in. I haven't really seen a new one. Actually, I think there's one new one. Let me see.
Yeah, take a look. Yeah, we've really been hammering the YouTube. It's the best way for us to gain new viewers. Like, there's kind of no discoverability when it comes to podcast audio wise, besides making better videos and social media clips. But YouTube's really been where we've been crushing it. So we appreciate all of you, especially on the YouTube side.
We have 2 long reviews, but they both have questions. So maybe we'll save them for like later in the week, and we'll do like a mailbag episode or something either later this week or next.
Sure, yeah. I don't think there's anything else to talk about.
I think we're good.
Kind of rambled. I think maybe later this week we might do bargain pitchers. Is that something we think?
Probably a list of bargain pitchers, and then we'll do a mailbag soon. And we're trying to get some cool interviews, so we'll keep you guys posted on that as well.
But that's it for us, guys. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Remember to follow us on our social media at MetsUp on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the MetsUp Podcast YouTube channel if you have not yet done so. We appreciate you. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Overcast, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
I'm Giraffe Nick Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. Shout out Matt Fitzgerald. Hope your head's feeling well. I know he listens to all these episodes. He's a legend. And we will catch you guys on the next episode. Peace out.
Peace out. See you guys next time. Let's fucking go, Mets.